the Sabbath and the tree of life. Both were given before sin entered the world. Before there was sin, before there was death, before there was even a Jew or Gentile, there was the Sabbath, and there was the tree of life. Both were gifts. Both were holy. Both were given by God in a perfect world. Not after the fall, not because of the fall, but before it, in Eden. Genesis 2 holds the key. Verse 3 says, God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. He rested, not out of exhaustion, but completion. It was his final act of creation, to set aside a day in time as sacred. Then in verse 9 we're told, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, not as a decoration, not as a symbol, but as a source of life eternal. These two divine institutions were planted in perfection. They weren't Jewish, they weren't ceremonial, they weren't temporary, they were eternal. So here's the question that confronts every skeptic, every pastor, every priest, every imam. If the Sabbath was part of the perfect world before sin, who gave you the right to call it obsolete after sin? The tree of life represented God's sustaining power, that life does not come from within man, but from the Creator alone. And the Sabbath? It declared that man's time, worship, and allegiance must be rooted in God's authority, not his own. One gave physical life, the other preserved spiritual loyalty. Both were signs of God's sovereignty. Yet today, people will agree the tree of life was good, holy, and real, and they hope to eat from it again in heaven. Revelation 22:2. But they mock the Sabbath. They call it legalism. They call it bondage. They call it Jewish. Let's be clear. It wasn't Israel who created the Sabbath. It was God. It wasn't Moses who sanctified the seventh day. It was God. It wasn't after sin that the Sabbath was given. It was before. And if the Sabbath existed before sin, how could it be abolished because of sin? Would God take away a holy gift just because man fell? Or would he protect it, preserve it, command it to be remembered because it was forgotten? Exodus 28 doesn't say, create a Sabbath. It says, remember. Remember what? What was already given? What already existed? What man lost sight of? Now let's fast forward. Revelation 14:12 says, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And Revelation 22:14 adds, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life. Did you catch it? In Eden, man had both the Sabbath and the tree of life. In Revelation, the faithful have both again. So why would anyone in the middle, between Genesis and Revelation, dare say the Sabbath was abolished? God is restoring what was lost. The gospel doesn't erase Eden, it brings us back to it. The Sabbath was not nailed to the cross, sin was. The Sabbath is not a shadow. It's a sign, a seal, a weekly return to our roots, to the Creator who made us and never changed. To every Sunday-keeping preacher, show us where the first day was sanctified before sin. You can't. To every religious leader who claims the Sabbath is outdated, explain why it's in the heart of God's eternal law. Why does Isaiah 66:22-23 say, all flesh will worship before God from Sabbath to Sabbath in the new earth? You can't erase what God sanctified before sin. You can't abolish what existed in paradise. The Sabbath and the tree of life stand together as witnesses from Eden to eternity. The only question is, will you return to what God gave or cling to what man invented?